This is Shelly Craft coming to you live on SNN Live. We're coming to you from the Planet Microcap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. I have with me Brent Cook, Exploration Insights, and we're going to do a Wall Street view. Brent, welcome to SNN Live.
Thank you. I appreciate being here in Las Vegas with you.
And you know what? Welcome to Planet Microcap Showcase.
You know, I got to say, I didn't know what this is going to be like before I came, and I'm really enjoying this. There's a lot of different ideas, different people. It's a different show than I normally get to, so I appreciate it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How do you like being at a not all metals conference?
I don't have near as many enemies. I think it's an interesting crowd. I mean, the people I've talked to, the fund manager, individual investors, they're all focused on microcap stocks, not necessarily junior mining, which is, I think, something they should be, but they're really focused on the details of these microcap stocks, which is basically the same things I do in junior mining.
Well, I think from your panel yesterday, you know, and by the way, on some other panels too, surprisingly, you know, there were a couple of research analysts that were going, no, you should be in gold. You should be in junior resources. What did you think when you saw that and you heard that?
Well, I'm glad they're seeing the light finally. I think it's a great idea because really, you know, these microcap junior mining companies offer the same leverage as a biotech company or a weed company or whatever, in that it's the inflection point that they're all looking for, which is what in mining or junior exploration we're looking for, that inflection point being a legitimate discovery. It'll take a stock from 30 cents to $3 in a week. We're all looking for that same thing. It's just a different, you know, they're considering earnings and cash flow or whatever, whereas we're looking at the discovery of a new gold deposit that somebody might eventually buy. It's a real similar space.
A gold deposit discovery is equal to an FDA approval on a biotech company. How do you like that for a comparison?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, it's that inflection point that says, bingo, you're onto something. This is important. That's going to bring in a lot more investors. And if you're in that early, that's the place to be, eh?
So now we're at, you know, Planet Microcap, and some of the things that are being discussed is, you know, what's going on in the market. You got the Dow breaking records, you got NASDAQ breaking records, you got gold kind of creeping up, falling back, the dollar's getting slapped around, you got bond prices all over, you got yields getting hit. I mean, you know, talk to me.
Well, a number of your speakers yesterday brought up the point that this is a bubble, and these index funds and such, that was, I forget your keynote speaker, he talked about that as being a serious bubble, that these index funds, once people start selling them, liquidity goes and it's going to get ugly. And I think that is the next bubble we're going to look at being burst. So I would avoid all that sort of thing.
You mean Bill Naskowitz?
Yes.
From Heartland?
Yeah, that Bill. That was a very interesting presentation. I assume you're going to post that.
But, you know, here's a guy that's been around, what, since his fund, he began his fund in 1983. So he's making, you know, he's out there speaking and he's coming at it with decades of experience, right? So you also have decades of experience on your side of the thing, and people wanted to know what you think is going to happen in the junior exploration companies. So why don't I, you know, share that question with you on camera?
Well, I think we're in a very interesting position right now in that I brought this up before with you, but we're producing, the gold mining industry, for instance, is producing about 90 million ounces a year. We're finding last year about 40 million. That's been going on for over a decade. And to put that in perspective, 90 million ounces is about what has been produced off the Carlin trend since 1970 or about 1980. So effectively, we've got to replace one Carlin trend every year in terms of discovery. That's not happening, and it's not going to happen. So the very few legitimate discoveries, which is what we're after in Exploration Insights, are going to be extremely valuable to the mining companies that need to replace their reserves. Once, you know, for every ounce a mining company produces, if they don't replace that with a new ounce, they're going out of business. So it's an interesting time right now in the junior mining space.
But I've been an advocate of mergers and acquisitions in the mining space for years now, whereby, you know, all of the majors have cut their budgets left and right, fired geos. I mean, they're just producing. They're not even looking anymore because I think they're resigned to the fact that they're going to go out and buy discoverers that aren't financially apt to become producers. They're barely making it into developing.
By default, that's what's happened with the cost of production rising, and the gold price has been kind of steadied it down. They don't have the money that's required to actually put into exploration and development. They've been cutting exploration, development, capex, all that sort of thing, and now they're at the point where they're going to have to go out and buy the legitimate deposits. For instance, just yesterday, a company we own, Mariana Resources, have for quite a while, fantastic discovery in Turkey. Sandstorm Resources came in and bought out their 30% for getting us about a 300% gain in just over a year. But you know, that's one deposit that's very high quality. There's not many more.
You don't hear about a lot. You don't. That's actually a rarity. Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody loves when it happens, but it doesn't happen enough.
No, there's very few discoveries. There's probably in the order of 5 to 10 legitimate discoveries every year, I would guess. And there's 1,500 companies around the world looking, so it's slim pickings.
So now you raise a good point. It's become a really global business. So is there any region, obviously Turkey, I mean, you know, as compared to BC, I mean, you know, they're finding these great deposits in Turkey. They didn't find it in British Columbia. Now they're finding it in Turkey. So what does that mean to the rest of the world and the entire resource community? Is there more money going and discovering outside of the North American hemisphere?
No, actually what's happening is with this, most of the major mining companies are becoming really risk averse. So they're kind of contracting into their home base, which will be Canada, Chile, Peru, United States. They're not moving
Mexico.
out, and Mexico, of course, yeah. But they're not looking outward that much. So they're going to have to start.
Africa.
Western Africa is one of the more prospective regions in the world. Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire. They're finding deposits there more often than anywhere else because it hasn't been explored. It's sort of like West Australia was 20 or 30 years ago. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but you know, there's a lot of issues as well. It's not an easy place to look.
Now, one of your claims to fame is that you are boots on the ground. Have you walked where have you been lately?
Well, there's two of us now, Joe Mazumdar and I. Last year, we visited 33 prospects around the world. Anywhere from Serbia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Burkina Faso, Joe just got back from Mongolia, Mexico, Australia. I was there earlier this year. You know, everywhere. Anywhere we see where there might be a potential discovery, we'll go look at, because what you see on the ground is rarely what a company presents you in their flip book. You know, you've got to go there and look. You've got to see what's the infrastructure like. Is this in the bottom of a canyon? Are the locals friendly, or are you drilling under a mosque? You know, those sorts of things you can't get until you go and look.
So what did some investors ask you while you were at the conference? I mean, I saw you were getting pretty busy there, and people walked over to you after your panel and exchanged cards with you. What was, you know, was that that's a good feeling, isn't it?
That's a good question. I think what struck me is a lot of these people have tried the junior resource sector, you know, microcaps, and they've generally lost money because it's a very specialized field, and if it's not something where you can analyze, you know, cash flow, earnings potential, growth, it's not how you analyze these things. So you need to be a specialist. So they were kind of intrigued that I actually, you know, at least in this very narrow field, know a fair bit about it and go there and look at it. So they're talking to me about that, and I think we picked up probably some subscribers and certainly some interest. So it's been a great show for me as well.
So let's get your website out there for more information. How's that?
It's a good idea. Explorationinsights.com, that's the website. There's a lot of information there. There's a report that Joe and I put together about a month ago now that you can write to us and get called on fatal flaws, which is basically some of the basic things to look for when you're evaluating a mineral property or a company. So that's free. Just send us an email, explorationinsights.com.
And give my regards to Joe.
I will. He'll be at your next show, I hope.
Listen, I want to thank you for coming on to SNN and to have participated in the Planet Microcap Showcase. I want to thank you for that.
Pleasure. I hope to be here next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brent Cook, Exploration Insights. This was a Wall Street View. I'm Shelley Craft. This is SNN Live, and we're coming to you live from the Planet Microcap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. Perfect having you. And by the way, while you were in Vegas, you know, this is Nevada. Did you go for a walk around the hotel to see if there were any, anomalies around?
There's a lot of silicon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brent Cook. On that note, thanks for coming on.